In this video, I'm going to be starting a race and sailing an upwind leg on the Sailaway race simulator. This is a video game, but somewhat realistic of the methods of sailing. I positioned my boat about 0.1 nautical miles west of the starting buoy, and I know from this spot I can, with about a minute, a little over a minute, minute 5 or so, I can make that buoy. I'm going to put my halyard up a little bit. I still got my jib down. I was just kind of making a little bit of eastward progress, but I'll go a little bit early here and raise the halyard and unfurl the jib, and my boat's going to speed up quickly. I'm up to 8 knots, and I'm going to turn it. I'm running parallel to the line here. Now, one thing about this race simulator is the boats don't collide in the race, so I'm not terribly worried about colliding with somebody at this point. Although everybody tends to crowd the start line at starts. This race I'll take about 3 hours, I think, to get up to the leg, but I'm going to fast forward a lot of the parts. So I'm just maintaining parallel course behind the start line. We're down under almost 30 seconds. I went a little early, so we'll see if someone crowds me out here a little bit. Although, like I said, the boats cross over each other. They don't collide. Otherwise, if they did, I'd have to halt some speed. I can see somebody coming up here in front of me, but usually they have to turn off too. So we'll both get decent starts here. 7, 6, 5, and Lamo. So I'll turn upwind. He turned upwind just before me. So he crossed the line. I crossed the line second. We'll see who else comes along here. Now, what we're trying to do is we're going to head upwind. Most races start upwind, and if you look at the wind, it's kind of that red arrow. Looking at the other starters out there. Elvis needs boats. I don't know quite much about him. The Dane is very quick guy. I've raced him a number of times. He'll probably beat me to the mark. For some reason, he can always get an angle in 1/10 of a knot better than me. But as I scroll out on the map here, you can see the wind is coming almost dead north, and we're trying to head dead south. There is some landmass we have to go around in this race. But after we get around this landmass that you can just see at the bottom of the map there, there's a lot of port tack. I'm on the starboard tack right now. There's a lot of port tack because you're going to head well west to get to the waypoint, the buoy. This is a longer weekend type race, but we can use some short-term tactics here. So what I'm going to do is the wind is I got a delta to the wind, delta TWD. If you can look at it in the middle of the screen, it just went negative. Optimally, I'll be on the port tack, so let me go ahead and port tack. Now, normally I couldn't do this in the real world because I'm going to come right through a boat here. I'd have to keep on my starboard because he'd have the right of way, but it's a video game, so we can go with it. So why I want to be on a starboard tack with I'm sorry, this is a port tack. Wind is coming over the left-hand side. With the wind being delta negative, as you can see, I get larger numbers. Right now I'm at 48 TWA. That's in the upper right hand, and I'm at -8 delta TWD. So you add those two together, and you'll get like 40 degrees, right? And that's what happens when you're on the port tack. When you're on the starboard, you have to subtract the new numbers. And you want to be, so again, I want to hold about 40 degrees. There's a couple different ways you can head a wind. You can set the boat to maintain a constant 41 degrees, and the rudder will keep turning the bearing or the heading according to the wind changes. This wind kind of goes cyclically plus and minus 10 degrees, but every once in a while it'll make an awkward turn, or it will get a weather update. This is real world weather. So I'm going to come around here a little bit early because I'm running out of depth and land mass. I know I have to go a little bit out, so I know that's earlier than I'm still at -1. It just went to 0. Now on the positive side, the reason why you want to be positive on the starboard tack here is that you'll get a greater TWA. And the greater the TWA, the greater the speed, up to diminishing returns, right? So I'm aiming for about 41 degrees or so, 40, 41, 42 degrees. Obviously, in a sailboat, you can't head directly upwind. That's sort of floating towards the irons. And 30 degrees would be too slow, 35 too slow, but about 40 it starts to pick up. And you'll pick up speed, but then you're going, once you get to 50, you're going too much of an angle. You have to cover too much. You're not covering enough VMC, right, or VMG, towards the upward wind. You kind of lose, if you went 90 degrees, you wouldn't be making it anywhere upwind, right? So 40 degrees is pretty good. So when you're on the when it's a plus delta TWD and your boat is on a starboard tack, that's going to give me 49 degrees. So I'm going fast, even though I'm still bearing basically heading of 137 in course of ground over 244. As I scroll out on the map here, I set an arbitrarily yellow waypoint, but that green is heading towards the waypoint itself, but you can't go through land. Let me just take a look. I've got it zoomed in quite a bit here. Zoom out a little bit. So at some point, I can actually take this waypoint out of there. So let me just do that. Go down, and you see there's a waypoint in the lower left-hand corner. That's where I can finally break around land. So I'm going to head upwind, and I'll just keep tacking like this as the wind changes. Now I've already blown it, and then I've now got a TWA of 39, 38. So I want to try to be above 40. And when you get down to 37, 36, you're going too slow. But if I tack at this point, I'll be heading towards land again. I do have to make some anti-progress, I'll call it. Anytime you're on the starboard tack on this particular thing, you're not really, I'm almost perpendicular, as you can see, to the green line. I'm kind of not making any ground towards the course, right, of where the waypoint, of where you want to be. And when you're on the port tack, the opposite tack, which you'll be on for most of this leg, or most, you're really making progress towards the thing. So, but you have to do this as much as necessary. You have to be on the starboard tack here to get out around this landmass, and really to head up course for me. So there is a GPS feature, and when I go do the next port tack, I'll get an idea of what my course over ground is. I think my heading here is 120, 129. Let's muck around with this a little bit. I can adjust the heading. When it's negative like this, I can adjust the heading to get my TWA up, which is what I'm going to do here. So even though I'm heading further away from course, sort of like simulating the boat turning, maintaining a constant TWA, which is an option for you to do when you're heading off of this. Of course, I got somebody coming up on my left side here. So it looks like I'll just barely clear him. Again, we don't crash or anything, but I would be on the starboard tack. He would have to yield to me if this were a real race. So my goal here is to kind of head south. You can either follow the coastline or not. I think I'll eventually, if everybody follows the coastline, I will drop to the leader there. I'm in 4th place right now, but that's doing against total distance to the green line. So the closer you are to land, in this case, the higher you would be on that board. You really can't judge that board until you get to a point where it matters, because we're all on different tacks right now. So I got the BTW there. I was at 216. I'm not sure exactly what I need to be, but about probably 224, 225. I might need to keep tacking south until once I get around this land, I can follow the Delta TWD. And right now I'm trying to keep my course up, 43, whatever it is. And once I flip over here, I'm not going to quite do it yet. See all the crazy tactics. A lot of people just kept themselves going eastbound, away from target until they clear the land, and then I'm sure they're going to turn westbound. Let me go ahead and turn and just see what my My heading at 219. A little bit by it there. Yeah, I'm going to get about 225 COG, course over ground, with between the wind pushing and a slight current to my back. So again, I'd head into land here. I will have to keep tacking. And I'm also going to try to maintain my TWA here. But, you know, that's a little bit better speed with the current pushing you a little bit on this tack versus the other tack. Of course, we can adjust the sails a little bit. I'm probably going to rise in the rankings here just because I'm heading towards land again. But you can see that massive group of people out to my right. I'm hoping to beat them up to the point where my GPS says my bearing to my waypoint that I set is close to 224, 225, 226, something like that. Then I can remain on a port tack. Let me turn around to starboard here because we're going through the 0 point on the Delta TWD. Hopefully we're going through the 0 point. Yep, we did. No, we went back to negative. What are we doing here? And like I said, sometimes it plays around a little funky with you. Anyways, I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to keep tacking. You'll be able to see it in, I don't know, 8x speed or whatever speed I decide to pick here until I get to a point where I'm making my final tack. I may be in last place. It depends on how wide these people want to go. Obviously at 225, I might even be a little bit too conservative and lose a little bit of ground on these people because maybe you can get a little closer to shore and round that corner a little earlier. Again, all this upwind is a lot of times where races are won, so that's why we're going into detail about the upwind. So let's fast forward here. Alright, well, I'm way outside everybody and that I'm furthest from land here, and I'm about getting ready to make my last tack, which I'll remain on a port course all the way to my theoretical point out there. I'm basically 223 degrees, so close enough to 224. I think my point was a little offshore a little bit. I could have gone a little bit earlier than this at a different angle, but I think that I can make my turn. So I'll just wait for the last little bit here, and then I'm going to maintain that course. So I should probably be in last place here, according to the distance to the waypoint. But I wouldn't worry about it a whole lot. Like I said, when I get down to the end of this, and we're making our corner around the landmass to go to the final point, I'll get a truer idea of where I am. So I'm at 224, bearing 14 miles to the waypoint. It will flatten out after the corner, after that 14 miles, so it's going to take me a while to get there. I'm getting 8.5 velocity made to course, so not quite 2 hours. Anyways, I should set this to like a constant angle. I don't know if I'll do that quite yet, but everybody inside of me, I think, is going to have to tack, or tack multiple times, or they're going to run into land. And so it didn't matter if I went earlier and followed the land or I just get up to where I am. Check my sails real quick here, make sure they're optimized. Let me change myself to well, when it gets down to that wind point. Again, I'm trying to estimate where we've set it to follow the wind angle at 42 degrees here. Or I can just set it to my waypoint, I guess. I might scrunch that waypoint up at some point and go flatter than the 41 or 42 average that I'm looking at. Because the 42, when you set it for 42, it'll bounce between like 40 and 44 or something like that. So yeah, I'm in way last place, but again, don't worry about it. All those people will have to tack. And like I said, the Dane's in second place. I don't know much about some of the other people, but I'm always a little concerned because he just, over distance, he seems to make up a mile or so on me, probably to this waypoint. Maybe more. Maybe I went out a little too high on this one, but I think that's got to do with sails or something else. I don't know. It's the way the game is. I can only go as fast as I can go. Maybe I can optimize my sails better. But let's fast forward. What you'll see in the background is these people will have to tack at various points, and when they're tacking, they're not gaining any velocity to course or very little velocity to course. And I am on. I've already done all my tacking earlier against the course. So I'll just remain on a port tack here and should be going constant velocity to course and should make it to my waypoint without any disturbance here. Matter of fact, I might flatten out and actually get a little more speed, in which case I could have gone earlier and saved myself time on the course, but that's racing. So let's fast forward here and see what happens as we get down around the bend here. Well, at this point, I think the Dane's got me. Like I said, he just has a little too much speed, or I left a little bit too much at the top of the course there. Going upwind, heading southbound before I made my turn towards port. Let's just check. But I'm a solid second place behind someone who was faster than me. And everybody else kind of fell off about where I'm at. So Yeah, I'm going to lose a little bit here. Now as I come to this point, I can almost flatten out. Get the stuff out of the way here. And, depending on the depths, I can rearrange. I might bring this back, but I'm going to the next leg of the, towards the buoy of this first leg. I know it's the first leg of the race, but as I get around the corner here, I can go flatter than the 40 degrees, in which case you should just head towards the buoy. There's no advantage at 50 or 60 TWA. You just want to maintain 50 and 60 TWA. There's no strategy at that point. The boat will sail there directly towards course in the quickest way, and any way you deviate from that course will just provide added travel distance, even to the higher TWA side, because eventually you're going to end up off course and you're going to have to go shorter the other way upwind, right? So the two average out. So yeah, at this point you just almost here, as long as I don't run aground, I can flatten out my course and bring myself up to 47 here, and once I get around the corner I can probably do 60. Either way, he's going to beat me to the thing. For the rest of this, I'll just play it out, but that's an upwind 3-hour type course. We'll see what time he crosses the line at. Of course, there's multiple legs in this course. The next one would be downwind and stuff, but the downwind, sometimes it's hard to gain over other people. You have to really just look at the wind total, right, as you're crossing large areas and try to get your wind. But anyways, that's an upwind race. It's a good strategy to do, or at least I taught you some strategy today. So let's play it out and see when we cross the marker here. So the Dane did circle the waypoint at about 3 hours 5 minutes. Looks like I'm going to be about 5 minutes behind him. This is kind of a screwy buoy in that you got to come around it. Normally, players set up these races and they can set it up any way they want. That might have been a mistake, because usually you just float through and keep going and start heading downwind. So I'm going to do the loop-de-loo around the thing and cross the line backwards. Looks like about 3 hours, about 5 minutes behind, 3 hours 10 minutes ish. It's hard to always judge this. Again, you can crash right through the buoy. Should have this guy, I don't know how to pronounce it, Waux or whatever. He's right on my tail. In fact, I'll see him as I cross around here. But then we're heading downwind, and it's kind of all downwind until one little section near the end. So as long as you can maintain the downwind lead, should be good sailing. So like I said, the race is kind of won and lost sometimes in the upwind. You can lose it on the downwind, don't get me wrong, but usually the boats are within a tenth or so of each other. Again, the damn Dane seems to go a tenth quicker than I do, but as we go around the buoy here, you can smash through the buoy. It doesn't matter, but you do have to cross the line backwards. So yeah, hopefully I can get a little run on him. He's going to steal a little of my wind in a second here. Anyways, that's sort of sailing in a nutshell. Got any questions, drop them below. Thanks for watching. I know this is like watching paint dry. Usually this could be automated. You can walk away, but I was recording a video, so I just wanted to make sure everything recorded. That's why I was checking a lot of screens. Otherwise, once I set my starboard tack, I could just go away for a couple hours or whatnot and come back, or set the boat to the waypoints, and it would do it well enough at that point, because you're kind of hands off. All right. Anyways, see ya.